Welcome to the latest episode of Blink 155, one of Canada's Blink 182 podcasts. We've determined,
yes,
we don't know where it ranks in Canada in terms of active Blink 182 podcasts, but we're positive that it's one of them.
It's part of the ongoing history of new music, as we've established.
We are part of the ongoing history of new music network, of course. Alan Cross is my dad. And
really?
I love him.
What?
Yeah.
He's my dad, too.
What? Oh, my God. Josiah, is this how we uncover the truth of our familial relationship?
Finding out that someone is secretly your dad is a very interesting thing to talk about on this particular episode.
We just accidentally and very cleverly slid that in. Of course, we're talking about the most troublingly incestual, or maybe not the most troubling, but one of Blink-182's many incestual love songs, Benoit Balls.
Well, it is, whether or not it's the most troubling, it is. We've been doing firsts so far, and this is, I think, one of the first, like all these themes, Tom wanting to fuck a dog, incest,
Yeah.
Kink shaming, they all come into play on this song.
And even though this is not the first song on Cheshire Cat, it is the first of the joke songs that close out Cheshire Cat.
Right.
In that it's literally in a different color on the back of the CD. Like there's the whole record, and then there's 3 songs that are sort of aesthetically designed to be considered as separate from the rest of the super serious rock and roll experience that is Cheshire Cat.
I mean, but all of Blink-182's catalog, well, actually not all of it, but so much of it, like the more straightforward pop punk albums always do have these joke songs with like terrible sketches. But the funny thing about that is that you're like, this is sort of like the first one that like you can see this happening again on Dude Ranch and Take Off Your Pants and stuff. But like, it's also insanely long. I think it's like probably one of their longest songs.
This song is almost 4 minutes, I think. I realized as I was looking at the track list, I was like, yeah, this is a really long song for a quote-unquote joke song. Like, a lot of thought went into the composition and lyrics on Benoit Balls.
Right.
It's astonishing.
I'm trying to see if there's like a ranked order of Blink-182 song lengths, because I'd be curious where it actually fits.
As someone who tried to find out the exact number of Blink-182 songs at the start of this whole podcast experience, I think there's like precious little sort of properly compiled empirical data related to Blink, and perhaps that can be part of our contribution. We already have a spreadsheet with, all of Blink songs. It wouldn't be that much work for, say, an enterprising fan of the show on Twitter who wants to get in our good graces to fill in the song lengths, any sort of other interesting background information that we can use to sound smarter in future episodes. Yeah.
We'll get them to do the research for us so that we can then read it back to them on the pod. It's perfect. It's a perfect Ouroboros.
It is absolutely the Blink Ouroboros. We should have an intern, I think. Like, this should be the start. This should actually
I've wanted an intern my whole life. Even just the fact that I had to make my own coffee.
Yeah, that's bullshit, man. So we need localized interns. So we actually need 2 interns. We need an intern in Toronto to make me coffee, and we need an intern in Calgary to make you coffee.
Don't reveal my location.
Sorry.
No, it's already out there. So from what I can tell, sorry, I lost my train of thought. This is definitely the longest song on Cheshire Cat. But even of early Blink on Buddha, there's a song called Transvestite, which I'm very much not looking forward to the episode about that. Yeah. But that one does break the 4-minute mark. And then they kind of didn't they didn't get up to 4 minutes again until later on when they got more pretentious.
When they got really serious. It's funny listening to this song now because it's almost impossible to imagine the Blink-182 of the last, really 10 years writing a song like this. But these like hacky joke songs were such a key part of their identity, when they burst onto the scene in the 90s.
Yeah, and it's really interesting too because the jokes that they're known for are like so deeply unfunny. I was thinking about this yesterday when I was like researching it, and I feel like Tom DeLonge's sense of humor specifically falls into this sort of genre of comedy that I would describe as like 12-year-old boy at camp, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember when you were like a preteen or an early teen and you still didn't fully understand sex, but there was like some kid at school who would always make jokes about like glory holes and farmers' daughters and like just like things that are like where did those jokes come from? You never hear of them again after you like go through puberty, but in that specific era, you're always hearing about like, I don't know, just like someone accidentally drank cum through a hole in the wall, or like it's like, and these jokes just exist as like a vapor of a memory from when I was a kid. But Tom, apparently, that's his entire humor is like versed in that.
Well, is it possible, just to sort of theorize, as we are wont to do on this highly theoretical podcast, that the reason that you lose that sort of adolescent 12-year-old boy at camp sense of humor kind of between, I guess, Take Off Your Pants and Self-Titled or Untitled is because that's actually when Tom lost his virginity? Like the Tom,
it's possible.
Because I think we have to address right out of the gate that there are inaccuracies baked into the very title of the song, let alone the sort of theory and the revelation at the song's narrative conclusion.
Yeah, I was hoping we could get Dan Savage on to help us discuss the minutia of Benoit Balls.
Yeah, please welcome friend of the pod, host of Savage Love, or is it called Savage Love, his podcast?
I can't remember.
Anyway, cool guy, friend of the pod.
Surprisingly a little bit libertarian, it seems.
Well, I mean, let's not forget, I remember I first sort of fell out on Dan Savage, who I loved, after 9/11, which has been another constant theme on this podcast, when he became quite hawkish on American foreign policy. And since then, I have taken all of his political views with a grain of salt.
Yeah. But having said that, the part of me that does want to still keep my inner child alive in the Tom DeLonge sense of humor still does enjoy reading Savage Love every once in a while and having a little giggle, even though you're not supposed to. You're supposed to pretend that nothing's funny. But that's the other thing that the other balancing act in this day and age is like, is sex allowed to be funny anymore?
No. It's
because the weird thing about that
serious.
is that like you're not allowed to laugh about maybe non-conformist traditional sex things anymore, but really all sex is hilarious, and I think that's where Blink-182 might be able to argue that they deserve a pass for some of these things, because like sex is very funny in the same way that like belching or farting is funny. It's a bodily thing that has all this neuroses tied to it that is it's funny, is it not?
I agree.
Do you think Dan Savage thinks sex is funny?
Yeah, I don't think you come up with something like the whole Santorum campaign without thinking that there's something funny about sex. Dan Savage is funny.
Right.
I think he thinks, like, maybe you're laughing at stuff you're not supposed to laugh at in those columns. I don't know. But, like, Dan Savage is a funny writer who understands that, yeah, like, people fucking is fucking funny.
Exactly. So that's the interesting thing, because I do feel like in this day and age, it's hard to find, well, it's easy to feel guilty about laughing at things, and we've kind of forgotten to say, like, maybe it's okay to laugh at this stuff. Well, but I don't want to be one of those guys who says, I'm an equal opportunity offender.
We should definitely put that in our Twitter bios. Like, no trigger warnings here.
Yeah, exactly.
Although I do think that we should have trigger warnings in this particular episode.
I don't know. One thing I wanted to say before we move on. You mentioned before we start talking about sticking pebbles in your asshole or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
You had mentioned that you had counted all the songs, and there's 155 songs.
Yes.
And we're growing organically as a podcast. We're not deep in with the deepest, darkest recesses of the fandom yet, but there's still one question that continually pops up.
True.
Which is, oh, hey, guys, I love the pod. Now, I'm not making fun of our wonderful followers, but this is what they sound
why
like.
Why do you have a voice when...
hey, guys. Oh. No, but every fucking guy loves to come out of the woodworks and bring this up.
Every guy does like to come, Josiah.
True. Some don't, Sam.
Sorry, yeah, that's also true.
So far, it is predominantly men who are bringing this up. Also, I don't want to be exclusionary, but everyone loves to be so smart and say, what are you going to do when Blink-182 releases more songs? Oh, then what's going to happen?
We'll have to stop.
Surely you're fucked when this happens. Surely you can't go on living at that point.
Well, that is, of course, when we are going to commit ritual suicide together on the pod. We're going to live podcast us committing seppuku and disemboweling ourselves for having dishonored the art of Blink-182 podcast.
Of it.
Yeah, exactly.
The audio of it.
Just a lot of sloshing.
We could do that, or as soon as they release a new song, we will start saying that the premise of this podcast is that it's named after the Plus 44 song 155.
Yes, which we've agreed is definitely our favorite Plus 44 song.
It's so good. I definitely didn't turn it off halfway through because I was really embarrassed by the guy with the UFC mohawk playing guitar.
Yeah, that song's
and
definitely
the GBH
more than 4
shirt.
minutes.
He has a GBH shirt too.
I mean, that's tight. I like punk.
Pretty punk.
Yeah.
So does Plus 44. Best punk band of all time.
The greatest. Yeah, we're just all waiting to get to the Plus 44 part of this podcast.
Well, when they release song number 156, we will... Everyone who's listening right now will know that this used to be about 155 songs, but we're all going to agree to a narrative together that when 156 comes out, oh no, it's always been named after that Plus 44 song.
Yes. Yeah, we're just retconning this.
So we're going to go back and edit these early episodes to change it all to a generic computer voice saying, welcome to the named after Plus 44. I just wanted to get that out of the way because everyone's asking.
Yeah, so it's important that they know.
It's the talk of the town.
It's when I go out, when I go to shows now.
When you're walking down Bloor Street.
Just bragging about your knowledge of Toronto geography right now.
When you're walking by the CN Tower.
Yes. So anytime that I do that.
With all the Blue Jays.
Yep. So, Kevin Pillar, Jose Bautista, they'll say to me, Sam, what are you going to do when there's a new song or a new album?
And then a bystander just walking by turns around and says, yeah, Sam. What are you going to do?
Yeah. And before I know it, I'm basically in the middle of a scrum outside of the CN Tower on Bloor Street in Toronto, where I live.
That's where it's located, yeah.
Exactly. So, no, that's good. That's important housekeeping to get out of the way.
Yeah, we just need to all agree. So if you're listening right now, I want you to write this down on a piece of paper if you have one, or open text edit on your Mac. If you use a PC, please stop listening. I just want you to write this down. When song number 156 comes out, we're all going to agree that this is named after the Plus 44 song 155.
Great. Noted. Okay, so can we talk about the song now?
Sure.
Okay, so...
What song?
Well, okay. I have a few questions about this song. Starting with the name, which is Benoit Balls spelled incorrectly. So
right.
Actual Benoit Balls are spelled Benoit W-A Balls. And this wa has an H on the end. Do you think that was a typo? Had someone just said the words Benoit Balls to them and they never looked it up? Because this is, I guess, 1995. So the internet exists, but, finding out information about sexual health is perhaps not as easy as it is today. So,
yeah, that actually, I mean, I was already thinking, yeah, there's no Wikipedia. This is probably just something, information passed around by snickering boys around the campfire, talking about what they could do with these pebbles that all around them. So that's true, but I also, you're right. Like, I think beyond that, I think like extreme sexual education, like beyond just how to make a baby, was not necessarily passed around. So it's not like they probably didn't have access to like pamphlets about like butt plugs and stuff.
Sorry, I like your description of these pebble boys just hanging out by the campfire. Is evocative.
I don't know
in
what
a
your
way
camp experience was like.
Yeah, it's true. That I went to Sparrow Lake Camp. It was a lot like that. A lot of pebble boys.
Pebble Boys. Mm-hmm. That would have been a good name for a band.
Or we could rename the podcast that when we're shamed by our allegiance to Plus 44's.
I just want everyone to know that I have inserted Benoit Balls right now for the duration of this recording.
Well, okay, and this is the other thing that we need to address in terms of inaccuracies in the song. So I blame the typo.
Well, if we could just pause for a second on the typo, because I'm confused when I look it up on Wikipedia. Benoit is capitalized and Balls is not. So, like, is Benoit a dude, or I couldn't figure out like the history. Like, is he like the guy who invented it?
I guess it feels like one of those things that like has no clear origin. Like, it's attributed to a variety of different cultures. Like, there's no sort of agreed upon dude, except for I guess this Benoitman, who was like, it would be good to put balls inside of yourself when you're banging, or when you're in a rocking chair. That's the other one that seems to sort of show up a lot.
Oh, yeah, it's true. Yeah, there's no like, because I'm just wondering if it's like, obviously for a lot of people it's a real honor to have something named after them, but then there's also like Lou Gehrig's disease. Like, do you think Benoit, if it was a guy,
yeah,
do you think he's stoked to be named after the Pebble Boys? Are always shouting him out every summer's eve.
Do you think that Lou Gehrig was like bummed that ALS became known as Lou Gehrig's disease?
I mean,
like,
I don't
that's
know.
sort of
like,
the comparison that you're drawing here.
That's just the first thing I thought of, but like, I don't even really know much about Lou Gehrig, but I'm just assuming like he's probably like, guys, I've done more than this in my life than
just have ALS. It's true.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a much closer comparison, if you were going to say, is Benoit bummed or stoked, is to bring it right back to the Dan Savage chatter earlier and say, is it like Santorum? Or is it like, I don't know, what's a good thing to be named after?
I don't know.
Like a highway, nothing. I don't know. If you're
maybe if something's named after you, it's already like not a good thing. Because even if it's a good thing, it's like you're still just known for that one thing.
Yeah, you don't want to be only known.
But my
for
question
a
is like I'm seeing here. So Benoit Balls originated in Japan around 500 AD.
Yeah.
So was Benoit was either like a damn freak in the sheets who wanted to get it on, or he was like, I refute. Only missionary position for the purpose of procreation. From now on, I'm Benoit. I decree.
So like, Benoit was like the Rick Santorum of his time, just like
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
There's
like,
no
I'm sure
indication
irony
here.
existed back then, so they were like, guess what we're gonna call these, my fellow Pebble Boys.
Yeah, the sort of ancient Dan Savage of 500 AD writing sort of clever takedowns and trying to sort of
his column, yeah,
his column, yeah.
Writing his column
was like, okay, well, guys, what can we do to shame Benoit and forever associate his name with sexual pleasure and a sort of free and open sexual society? Well, we'll name these ill-ass balls after him. And now look at it's 2017 and we don't know who the real Benoit is. Maybe that's what's going to happen to Rick Santorum in like 2000
or Lou
years.
Gehrig.
Or Lou Gehrig.
Yeah, and then also I'm wondering if the typo is also like, because Tom DeLonge is clearly a very good guitarist at this point in time.
Yes.
And actually, like, watching live videos, you're like, See, these guys actually used to know how to play their instruments and jump around and like be very energetic. Like it's crazy how good they used to be.
The videos of this song are all awesome. Like every live video rules.
It's incredible. But I was just thinking maybe he was thinking of like wah pedal too much, and he just like because it's spelled the same as the sweet crybaby pedal I used to have when I was a teen.
So do you think like he just had his head in the guitar as opposed to in the butt
the
or
sex
vagina?
toy,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Just a thought.
So this is, I mean, another error within the song, and I don't want to jump to the end of the song, but this is like we're dealing with sort of the mistakes of the song, and the implication is that the Benoit balls in the song Benoit Balls are being used in this man's butt. However, you aren't supposed to use Benoit balls in the butt because they're not safe for anal play.
Really?
Yeah, they're pretty much exclusively for vaginal use. Whereas if you want to get into butt stuff, that's where you get into like butt plugs and anal beads and sort of butt specific toys. But I don't really understand the sort of specifics of health and sex because I am also a virgin. However.
Hence the Blink-182 podcast.
Yeah, that's why I have a Blink-182 podcast. Obviously, I'm a massive virgin. So these are not for use in the butt. And if you look up like Benoit balls under Google News settings, you'll find they're sort of back in the news right now. Khloe Kardashian loves using them for vaginal health. They're very much associated with like a contemporary wellness movement around like female sexual health, but they're not for the butt.
So that's interesting because I have read, like when I Googled Benoit balls, people have mentioned them being used for anal stuff. But I'm wondering, are they not connected to anything? So like they don't have like the thread that beads are on, so they could potentially get lost in your digestive system.
I guess, right? Because you don't have all the blocking you have.
Yeah, there's no anchor to pull it out. They just become one with your flesh for eternity.
It's like Hellraiser.
I also really like one thing that I really like is when I Google Benoit balls, they sell them at Spencer's Gifts.
Really?
Yeah.
Can I just say, we mocked the Twitter voice of some of the fans of the pod earlier, but I do think that a set of Benoit balls would be a lovely gift for either Josiah or myself, or both of us.
Definitely. Yeah.
If you really want to, get in good, show your support in sort of the absence of a Patreon where you could just give us money to buy Benoit balls ourselves.
Right, that's what I spend the bulk of my money on, despite the fact that I know nothing about them. Really,
it's like the drill tweet. You're like, rent $800, Wi-Fi $100, Benoit balls $8,000. Someone who is good at finance, please help me. My family is dying.
Yes, that's exactly it.
So, according to Wikipedia, please.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's funny they're sold at Spencer's Gifts because I also couldn't find any like licensed Benoit balls. Like it seems like the perfect thing to print a picture on.
Yeah.
Like you can get licensed fidget spinners. You can get. Excuse me, my coffee is really working a number on my. You can get licensed fidget spinners. You can get licensed dildos and all that kind of stuff. But there's no Benoit balls out there, so.
Wow.
I don't know.
So maybe
it's just a missed opportunity is what I'm saying. Like Blink, you could have Blink on one of them and then 155 on the other. And then just lose them in your colon.
Well, yeah, because this is what it says in the Wikipedia is that sometimes they have a retrieval string or attachment of some sort. Retrieval string is such a kind of incredible phrase. But they do not have an adequately flared base for safe anal play.
Right.
So I don't really, again, as like a vanilla virgin, I don't understand what that means. However, it does tell me that the very premise of the Blink-182 song Benoit Balls is flawed.
Now, let me just add to that, though. I'm sorry. I think that, again, in the 90s, the education about this stuff was not up to par. So,
yes.
And it does seem like people have done a lot of anal play with Benoit Balls. So back then, assuming that this song is a true story, which it definitely is.
Yes.
Back then, probably they were used more anally.
That's interesting. Yeah. So really, this is a song about the perils of limited sexual education, in particular in America, where there's obviously sort of more the sex ed is much more highly politicized.
Exactly. So like this is the danger of it, is that not only will you lose these balls in your asshole, but you also might end up starting a relationship with your long lost daughter.
Which is, of course, the true story of this song is it's about a man. I guess it's sort of focused on the man. He finds a new lover. He's
Yeah, I don't think it passes the Bechdel test, if that's what you're saying.
Have you heard this? Well, not this theory. This is actually a fact that "Baby Got Back" by Sir Mix-a-Lot actually does pass the Bechdel test.
Oh, I have heard that.
Yeah, but this song unfortunately does not pass the Bechdel test.
Sorry,
very much.
Sorry, everyone.
sorry to all of the people tuning in to this podcast for our sort of feminist theory and analyzing of
analyzing.
I'm glad this podcast is giving us an opportunity to properly delve into like the true juvenile core of this band. Just
people
ourselves.
were thinking that we were too intellectual in the past.
Well, we are talking about the Bechdel test, which is like not great.
That's true.
But so this song, I think we need to like discuss kind of the narrative of this song, right? So
yes,
it's a man. He's excited to be in this new relationship with a younger woman who sort of finds him, I guess, reminiscent of her dad. There's a little bit of a is Oedipus the
yeah
okay,
eat a puss.
Yeah. Wait, is Oedipus the one where you want to kill your dad and be with your mom? And then the other one's the one where you want to...
What's the other one?
Oedipus.
Yeah, Oedipus is the one where you want to have sexual involvement with the parent of the opposite sex.
Oh, it's just any opposite. So this is a very Oedipal song also. So... The daughter and her new elderly gentleman lover are, I guess, on a date, and he starts singing a song, and then he farts at the end of it, and this reminds her of her own father who used to sing and fart, and then she makes him take off his pants and looks at his butt, realizes that he has Benoit Balls in his butt, and that this must be her long lost father. Because her father also sang, farted, and had Benoit Balls in his butt.
Like all of the signifiers of a 12-year-old campfire joke.
Yeah.
It ends in the most disappointing way.
Yeah. But you could imagine this being told, in hushed voices, like, and then he turned around, and in his butt were the Benoit Balls, and like everyone shakes and freaks out. But
it's also funny. I didn't really read the lyrics close enough. It's funny that she looks at his butt and sees the ball. So maybe he did have a little toggle or a little anchor to make them not. Like, what would she have seen?
Well, I'm
if
thinking
she looked?
that he
did
in
she
fact
do a deep dig.
She did a deep dig. I'm thinking that really this song is about anal beads, right? Like. And she's mistaking the anal beads for Benoit Balls. So, she's also kind of an unreliable narrator, in this sense where she's obviously young. She doesn't sort of, again, have the education because of the politicized American sexual health, education issues that are ongoing to this day.
Exactly.
She isn't capable of distinguishing between Benoit Balls and anal beads, but she is capable of recognizing her father eventually, which is quite troubling.
I was really hoping that the way that she had found it out was that she heard some sort of like clacking sound when he farted, like a sort of like pool break on a pool table. Like I don't know. I just think if I could go back and punch up the song a little, that would be the only thing I would change.
Right. You'd add some background sound effects.
Yeah. Like what are those things called that are like stress relievers on a desk where it's all those little silver balls and you pick one up on one side and it hits them all? You know what I'm talking about?
What? Oh, like the things that go back and forth?
Yeah.
What's that
Like
called?
that sound should have gone in
Oh,
there.
those are also Benoit Balls.
for perverted businessmen.
For pervy execs who want to sort of show off their. I don't know.
It's also great because, well, I don't know. What do we want to say about this that we haven't said about the narrative of the song?
So
I do like the reveal. I like that. I like the frame is there for a good story because he did save the reveal to the very end. There's no clues leading up to it, really.
Well, can I get into my theory? I have like a Josiah type theory about this song.
Yeah, I'd love it. Yes.
Okay, so this song comes out in 1995, right? 1996 is when the manga that Oldboy is based on comes out. And I have not read the manga of Oldboy because I'm just not a manga man. But from what I've read, and this is where, just spoiler alert, if you have not seen the classic 2003 South Korean action film Oldboy, maybe skip ahead or
I actually haven't seen it yet.
You haven't seen Oldboy?
I'm willing to fall on my sword for this.
Okay, thank you. Because I can't just like monologue and then I could like text you when you can come back to the podcast.
I mean, you could.
So, okay, Oldboy, which was adapted into a very sort of bad American version in 2013 by Spike Lee, starring Josh Brolin. But the original Korean version is like one of the greatest action movies ever made. Park Chan-wook directed, so it's part of the Mr. Vengeance trilogy. But essentially, like the heart of this movie is this guy who gets kidnapped for 15 years, comes out, eats a live octopus. It's like one of those famous scenes in the movie. Falls in love with the waitress at the restaurant where he eats the live octopus. Spends the rest of the movie trying to figure out who kidnapped him, why he's been in prison for 15 years. Has sexual relations with this waitress he's in love with, and it's eventually revealed by the villain of the film who imprisoned him that he has been having sex with his daughter that he never saw her grow up because he was in prison 15 years. And, it's a revenge for him having shamed this guy when they were in school, for him having sex with his sister, and his sister killed himself. So it's all just like a lot of violence and incest, but essentially is about a man who falls in love with his daughter without realizing it. And so my theory is that Oldboy is actually essentially a very severe adaptation of Benoit Balls. Because I don't think the incest is actually in the manga, so I think Park Chan-wook is a big Blink fan. Love Cheshire Cat. Always sort of thought that this idea at the core of Benoit Balls was like potentially could be mined for much more serious drama. And so several years later, ultimately released this film that won the Grand Prix at Cannes. This is an acclaimed film, but that ultimately I think was born out of this like truly great, essentially ska punk song, kind of.
I think I think that literally we can stop recording now because there's nothing else. You're right.
Okay, great. It. Thank you. Yeah.
That's all. I mean, I am a little bit curious if they use Benoit Balls or any toys in Oldboy, but
no, but they use the song. The closing credits use the song, and that's really what tips their hand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think joking aside, once again, you've perfectly proven that Blink-182 rests perfectly in the canon of American literature and history, or really world literature and history, as you're saying.
This is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Thematically, it's no different than Oldboy. It's the same thing. Benoit Balls is art. Benoit Balls should have been at Cannes.
It should have won the Grand Prix.
Yeah. They're like, for the first time, we're going to do a pop punk song instead of a 3-hour movie. I don't really know Shakespeare enough, but I do feel like this seems a little bit Shakespearean, this song. Yeah,
any sort of great tragedy. It's like Shakespeare. It's like an M. Night Shyamalan movie. It's a classic. It's a classic story told through the lens of 90s ska punk.
Yeah, and okay, you keep saying the S word, so I think we got to point it. I mean, why? why is there ska in this song? I think that's why, like, my history with this song is that I never really loved it that much. Listening to it again, I do really like it, but I don't like that the verses are ska. Like, Blink-182 was quite a ska band, and it makes me uncomfortable.
They were quite ska, and yeah.
Like, this is a song about incest, but the ska part is what makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I'd like to say, like, you know, we're going to eventually have to, you know, deal with some really, like, un-PC type content, but I think I will never be more offended than when we have to talk about ska.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's just everyone. You know, being politically correct is dependent on, like, your upbringing and your surroundings and how much time you're willing to invest in learning about other cultures and other people. And really, it takes privilege to be able to learn all this theory sometimes, and it's all about like building each other up and teaching each other things that maybe they didn't realize before, and just like having patience with each other about these kinds of issues so that we can all arrive at a similar wavelength of thinking. But all of that said, there's no excuse for ska.
It's true. We are not calling in anyone who likes ska.
No.
You are not welcome.
Get the fuck out.
You're not fucking welcome. It is, I think, the ska in this song is being very specifically utilized to let you know the song is a joke. So
maybe you're right.
So
maybe
I think
right.
We mentioned this off the top, right? If you look at the back of Cheshire Cat, it's like you get to Romeo and Rebecca, and then it literally, the font color changes for the last three songs that are all jokes, right? And that starts here with Benoit Balls. Now, if you're looking at the CD, that's one thing, right? But let's say your friend put it on, you don't know when the jokes are starting. All of a sudden, the song comes on, and you're like, well, this is a little goofy lyrically. Maybe this band is actually dumb. And then the ska starts, and you're like, oh, they're joking. Like, no one would actually play
it's
ska.
a knowing wink.
Yeah, exactly.
But keep in mind that this is before Mark Hoppus wrote two loving opuses towards the Queen of Ska from DHC.
It's true, yeah.
I mean, unless they started with a knowing wink and then it turned into a real thing, which we've all been there.
We've all knowingly winked about ska.
We've all started laughing at. Well, I mean, we've all started with joking about something, and then all of a sudden it becomes normalized to us, and then all of a sudden you're in the alt-right.
And all of a sudden you're on week 5 of your Blink-182 podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, this song, I don't really think is fair to completely call it a joke song, even though that's what they're trying to do, because, like, musically it's so tight, and they're clearly trying really hard, and it seems like they just, like, wrote another fairly generic pop punk song, but like one where they were actually trying to show off their chops still to round out their set, and then they're like, shit, we need lyrics, and then that's when the joking came in. Yeah,
like, to me, it's sort of reminiscent of several of the good Phoenix TX songs, which is a band that used to play a lot with Blink, and I'm, very proud to say that I like. But, like, they have the song Threesome that's really good musically, but is all about, trying to get a girl to have a threesome with you. And I just find it perplexing that bands like this would write, I think, like, pretty good songs and then be like, but we should make this super dumb and ultimately something that, like, won't age well. Like, unfortunately, right? Like, no one's ever like, I can't wait to go back and listen to Benoit Balls' Threesome by Phoenix TX, or like I Was Alone by Green Day.
Right. But I think, actually, the more I think about it, I almost think that's what was actually what makes it cool. It makes them seem like they don't give a fuck, and like this is their version of being like the Strokes or something. Like, that the Strokes are like cool, like just shrug it all off. They're like, we're gonna write this sick technical song, and then we're gonna make it so that it's impossible to actually listen to it without being kind of uncomfortable or embarrassed.
Yeah, totally. This is definitely Blink's most Strokes-like song.
Well, it's just that cool attitude where it's like, this is their version of like having a cigarette dangling out of their mouth while they play. Like, just like, I don't give a fuck about what you think makes for a good song, because like you're gonna want to play this out loud in your basement at home with your parents around, but you're not going to be able to because we've made it so that it's impossible to truly love.
Just like how we've made this podcast something that you can't listen to anymore with your parents by talking so much about sexual health.
I mean, hopefully you've had a talk with your parents about Benoit Balls and they've taught you to not use a stringless ball bearings in your butthole.
Yeah, that's true, actually. I hope this is part of a conversation, an ongoing conversation that all families who listen to Blink 155 are having about, just what is good and what is not good to have inside your body.
It's funny, too, that Benoit Balls are also just kind of used for kegels and stuff. Like, it's not even only for sexual health. I mean, for sexual pleasure. It's also for sexual health. So I just think education is so important.
It's true. That's what I was talking about the Kardashians earlier. Like, this is an important conversation that we are now a part of. You're welcome.
Do you think that Chloe likes Blink-182?
I think there's only one way to find out, which get her on the pod.
I do know that Travis has gone on some dates with Kim.
Oh, really?
That was in his book. In his book. His book is just like a list of female conquests.
I got to read this book, or maybe it's better to have you just dropping stuff in the podcast that I don't know. So I get to act surprised. Like, oh, really? Kim? It's crazy.
Well, it is funny because prior to Travis joining the band, they just like laugh at sex, but then Travis comes in and he seems like he fucks.
Travis was the first member of Blink-182 to have had sex. Yeah, to fuck.
Yeah.
And he sort of slowly introduces them to the art of the fuck, and that's, as we see, that's where the more serious songs come in, right? So, like, Travis has just joined the band.
I wanted to mention something about that earlier because you're right about the songs getting more serious as Travis joins the band. Mm-hmm. But it's funny that, like, as Tom DeLonge got more and more pretentious, he still desperately tried to make those, like, immature jokes. Like, on stage when they're playing, like, Up All Night and he's doing that horrible singing and wearing the weirdest toque ever, or beanie as the Americans call it.
Yeah.
But he was still in between songs, just like they became like non sequiturs at a point. He'd be like, I want to put my dick in this song or something. Like, it's just like so desperate and old and sad, but just still trying to make these jokes. But like, he has still tried to hang on to that. Even at their most pretentious, serious moments, he would still try to bring it down to that level, but with such desperation.
Maybe it's like part of their contracts. You have a contract with the promoter. It says, you're gonna play X, you're gonna play a 90-minute set. You're not gonna play within 50 miles of that city. You are going to make at least 4 juvenile jokes about blowjobs. Like, it could just be part of the contract. We don't know.
It's true. We need to see their rider.
Yeah, so he finishes playing Love is Dangerous and then is like, titties. And you're like, okay. Yeah. Sick, man.
And also, last episode we talked about this theory that Matt Skiba is just trying to blend in as Tom. And I still think that's kind of true, but he doesn't make dirty jokes at all.
It's true.
He's classy. They should have gotten him to be like, I don't even know. I can't even think of one right now.
It's just because we're too smart. We can't make bad jokes. Yeah, if they had really tried to pull the wool over people's eyes and had Matt Skiba totally subvert his like serious Gothman persona by making beach jokes in between every song, I would have loved it. But
this is proof, though, that Tom truly contains multitudes as a person. Like, he's the most like fascinating person. He's obsessed with aliens. He's a Mason. He is a born-again Christian who references Jesus every once in a while. He is a filmmaker. He plays in Angels and Airwaves, arguably the most ridiculous band to ever come out. And yet he also still loves to... He just thinks that saying, my dick is funny. Like, it's amazing. I kind of love it. I mean, he's really whether or not you like him the most, and people are still fighting about which lineup is perfect all the time, but like, he is definitely the most interesting. Like, there's no, you don't just see him and get this, you don't get the full picture when you look at him or hear him talk.
No, and there's something truly miraculous about listening to this song and then just even thinking about the existence of Angels and Airwaves. Because, like, we're all very, I'm really different than I was when I was in my early 20s. Like, people change, but, like, this is pretty dramatic.
And he still makes like dick jokes on Twitter every once in a while.
God love him.
Between teasing some CIA collaboration or whatever, he'll just be like just some absolutely awful penis joke that just makes you want to die.
We've been really obsessed with Mark's Twitter and getting Mark on the show and interacting with him because we've had early success with it. But I think this has got to be the moment where we sort of not shift our focus, because I do think we should remain very obsessed with all members of Blink-182 on social media. But maybe this is a real opportunity to give Tom his social props, and also to begin a campaign of targeted harassment that will eventually end with him, at the very least, acknowledging our existence as Mark has.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the thing about Tom is that even his social media is not so curated. Like, I think Mark, whether he has like management or someone helping him, or it's just his own like protecting himself, but he is very curated in what he puts out into the world. But Tom is just kind of like a complete disaster in the best way.
Yeah.
Like, and well, maybe it's too early to talk about. Yeah, never mind. We'll save the alien stuff for another time. But
yeah, dude, we got a lot of these episodes to come.
It's true. But I don't know. Even the way that his voice has changed, it's like, was he replaced by someone else at some point?
Well, we talked in the last episode, and really we talked in every episode about how bad Blink is live because we're bullies. But we mentioned this earlier. There's a lot of live video of this song. Like, this clearly was a staple of the 90s live set. Like, there's like Benoit Balls in Detroit, Benoit Balls in Montreal, Benoit Balls in Kansas City. Like, and every video rules. Like, Tom still sings like a crazy person, but he can sing in the context of sort of what they're doing. So many punk jumps, as you mentioned. And they're also all really old VHS recordings. So just the aesthetic of them makes me feel like I'm a kid again.
Everything about it is so cool. So cool.
There's
and
also,
all I want in life is to find, like, I think you and I have very different tastes in modern punk music.
We've really started plumbing the depths of that. Yeah.
But for me, a perfect modern pop punk band would be a band that just sounds like that. Like, it sounds explosive. Like, it's so quick and so unslick, and so everyone's going as fast as they can and playing as hard as they can, but it's still melodic. And like, oh man, skate punk was ruined when they started making it slick, but this is just like classic skate punk, and it seems like you just uncovered like a cassette somewhere, like the warm crackle.
Yeah, it is. There is truly a warm crackle, you Alan Cross motherfucker.
I'm going to learn how to do an impression of his voice so that he can be a guest on the show.
But the other thing that I love about these videos is it actually like places you in a historical context that we kind of forget. Like, we've talked before about how Blink, as they kind of ascended to pop superstardom, didn't really pretend that they were like a cool grimy punk band. Like, they were very happy to be like a pop rock band and embrace that, right? But yeah, there's this video of them doing Benoit Balls in Montreal in 1996 where Mark is like thanking all the bands that they're on tour with, and it's like, dude, I'm going to send it to you because you should listen to it, just like the first 20 seconds.
You want to come up and moon everyone? Does anybody want to see a random guy's ass? Okay. So anyway, let's give them a big round of applause for all the bands that are fucking playing tonight, because we're fucking so stoked to be on this bill. Shades of Park, DBS, can't speak, Youth Brigade, and 10 Foot Pole. Let's give it up for those guys, because they fucking rock. We want to thank Greenland Productions for putting on this whole fucking tour. They're the best fucking people we've ever met.
Yes.
Put us up.
We love them.
But you know one thing that they do?
And then he goes on to say that the promoters use Benoit Balls.
Use Benoit Balls, yeah. But like, okay, DBS.
There was actually a yeah, did he say DBS?
He says DBS. This bill up. Like, that's Mark Hoppus giving props to DBS, which for our non-Canadian listeners, in my mind, is like one of the best Canadian punk bands ever.
And like all of Vancouver's punk scene when I was growing up was built around what DBS sort of created. Like every show was at Sealand Hall, and they put us on the map. And Jesse Gander has gone on to become like one of Canada's best producers. Like he's recorded like White Long and Japan Droids, and I don't know, like he's like the Vancouver guy. Andy Dixon is now a famous visual artist who, like, Mindy Kaling hangs his paintings in her home. You can see it in like celebrity magazines. Like
I had no idea about that. That's actually fucking awesome.
Yeah, Andy Dixon is like pretty interesting guy. But yeah, that's crazy. I was rewound that so many times because I wasn't sure if he actually did thank DBS.
He's definitely like that's props to DBS and Youth Brigade and 10-Foot Pole, which is like, again, you're just like, oh right, like imagine being at that show. Like that's actually the sickest lineup for a punk show in 1996.
Well, I think I'm going to bring this up now rather than forgetting about it.
Okay, bring it up.
Oh no, wait, hang on. So we haven't talked about the sketch that opens the song yet.
Oh God. Okay, yeah. Let's talk about the sketch.
So this is, I think, I haven't done the research, but I think this is the first time that Tom has admitted he wants to have relations with a dog.
Right. This is the beginning of the bestiality themes that are so prominent in the Blink-182 discography.
I think only from Tom, but well, I guess Mark lets a dog drink his pee at the end of Dude Ranch, which is maybe different.
Yeah, I think that's just like animal cruelty as opposed to bestiality.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I obviously, like everyone else, I hate sketches on albums. Like, they're not good.
Reasonable.
But I like that Blink-182 at least keep their sketches short.
Yeah, like, so this opens with them kind of singing, because obviously the chord progression at some point they realized was essentially We're Not Gonna Take It by Twisted Sister. So it opens with like a parody of We're Not Gonna Take It, but instead it's about getting fucked by a dog.
Right. And then, ladies and gentlemen, for your listening pleasure, Blink, and then he sort of like makes fun of the band name. I don't know, it's pretty cute. It's like self-effacing.
Yeah, and it's like
charming.
Who do you think that is? Because it sounds like it's a Professor Frank impression.
Well, this is what I was going to say. There's a pretty interesting thing I noticed looking at the liner notes, which is that there is a fourth person credited on the opening sketch. And the person's name is Matt Houts, Houts. And I can't find anything about this guy. He's not like... He has a Discogs page with credits that only list him singing on Benoit Balls.
Really?
Yeah. So there's a mystery fourth guy.
Oh, shit. Okay, well, I mean, if anyone listening to the pod knows, hit us up at Blink155pod.
It's really confusing. Like, I've been looking. People even just ask constantly, like, who's Matt Houts? Who's Matt Houts?
I feel like we maybe have our next question for Mark when he does question period on Twitter.
Yeah.
This is
I think
it.
You might be right.
So this is
like,
we'll find out, guys.
Who's Matt Houts? Who's Matt Houts? Although I don't know if Mark likes to really acknowledge this era too much anymore, but hopefully in this one case, he will mention who Matt Houts is.
I think maybe he'll make an exception for us, his best friends on Twitter.
Okay, and then the other thing I wanted to tell you, this is I feel ashamed of myself. I feel like I've become one of the OCD Reddit people for noticing this.
Go for it.
This is like, oh man. Okay, ready?
Yes.
The breakdown in the middle of the song sounds like this. Okay, that's the middle of Benoit Balls, okay?
Yeah.
I want you to hear this guitar part in the song Enthused.
Go!
It's the exact same.
It's exactly the same. I think even the bass chord progression is the same. So I don't know. I mean, obviously, if you're writing very simple pop punk songs, you eventually have to repeat yourself. But I wonder if like he was like, damn, I shouldn't have just done this pre-chorus guitar thing. This could have been a whole part of a song.
It's like they threw it away on this joke song, which
yeah, and they're like, shit.
That's actually kind of a sick guitar part. Yeah, it's when I was listening back to it today, I was like, that sounds really more familiar than just like a song, because I've not listened to the song in a long time. And I was like, that guitar part is like strongly reminiscent of something. And it's Enthused, a song I've listened to tens of thousands of times.
And that's probably why you recognize. Everyone else on Reddit has been saying that the intro to this is the same as Stay Together for the Kids, but I don't really remember that song, and I was like, I don't see how this could possibly sound like Stay Together for the Kids.
See, I thought it kind of sounded a little bit like Dysentery Gary, but I think it's just that it sounds like a Blink riff. Like it's so reminiscent of different parts of their catalog, because it's just like a kind of catchy tom riff that you could probably say it sounds like 30 different Blink songs.
And then the other thing I found is like someone had uploaded the Buddha promo of the song.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
And it's like completely distorted and blown out and sounds like absolute shit. I'll just play it for a second.
Tight.
Like I don't even know why completists have gone too far that they need to hear this sort of thing. It's like it sounds like Wolf Eyes.
Sick.
Here's a little bit of it.
Yeah,
it sounds like lightning bolt or something.
Yeah, it's like Merzbow. I'm with it.
Yeah,
Fucking melt
it's
banana.
Cool. It is cool that they were once a noise rock band. They should have signed with Load Records, but
there's a total alternate history. Yeah. The only one that I found that I thought was worth sharing, and typically, as we know, I've been trying to avoid these covers, is like a really earnest acoustic cover.
See, in this, I was hoping you'd find one because with this song, an acoustic cover is beautiful.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like doing, Apple Shampoo on a ukulele, like go fuck yourself. But this, like, really sincere, it's without vocals. It's just like a simple instrumental version of a song about the wrong way to use Benoit Balls. I just think it's just so beautiful and stupid.
It's really sad that he didn't include the vocals, though. But I guess we still, knowing the song, we can still think about the incestual sex toy narrative that it's weaving.
It's true. So as this plays, just think about either...
think about your parents.
Think about fucking your parents or fucking your children.
That's nice.
It's just nice,
Yeah.
And even nicer is that it has 69 views. It has 699 views, but pretty nice.
Unfortunately, on my computer, it has 704.
Oh, shit. Okay. It's amazing to me that 6 people have listened to that since I opened that tab.
Yeah, I know.
Jesus Christ.
Everyone wants some good Benoit Balls music.
Okay, final thoughts on Benoit Balls.
I don't like that it has ska in it. I think that the lyrics are really, really stupid, but almost funny enough to work, almost.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a completely different band. Like, it's entirely different from what we know now, and the live videos are what make it amazing.
Yeah, everyone should, just Google the hell out of these live videos, because there's, full sets. There's, these beautiful 90-minute videos of Blink at their skate punk peak, and it's so sick.
Well, we'll probably bring it up again for a different song, but there's also a 8-minute sound check video behind the scenes in Montreal, and it's just I
haven't watched it.
It's so cool,
sick. Okay, so for me, Oldboy is, I think, one of the greatest action movies of all time. It's honestly one of my favorite movies. So I am grateful to Benoit Balls for providing the narrative foundation for such a fascinating and transgressive film. For giving us these iconic scenes in cinema, and for making us laugh along the way. Just so
can
thanks.
Can I take my Benoit Balls out yet?